So here we are at the end of the road. It's so hard to say goodbye to yesterday. I want to make a joke about you all being glad that it's finally ending, but if you're here watching, that's your own fault. I'll only be returning briefly to cover PT, but that will be part of a short clip, and unless it's requested, I may not be returning to Silent Hill. I've decided that I'll be moving on to Resident Evil, but will only upload full videos to YouTube and previews to TikTok and Instagram. So if you haven't had the chance, please subscribe on YouTube for access to full videos. I'd also like to reiterate that I currently have a sponsor called Dubby. Yes, congratulations are in order. I worked very hard for this, and I've rejected so many other offers for this exclusive once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. Except it's a low-level company that's attempting to increase social media presence and sales, and they allow anyone to qualify as a sponsor. Although I'm not inclined to buy any products myself, I do get late-night DMs from the founder himself seducing vulnerable little me into buying his products anyways. I know this is a terrible way to advertise an item, but no one takes me seriously anyways, and until I see some effort on their part, I'm only inclined enough to mention the name. If you're interested in trying them out, you can use my code 90s router at checkout to get 10% off your order. Or if you'd prefer to advertise them for free with almost no benefit to yourself, you can do that too. I'll link them in the description, unless however you're watching this on TikTok, and then I don't know how to link it. Come check out my YouTube channel, I guess. Alrighty, so the game begins with Murphy Pendleton being escorted from his cell to longtime neighbor and active Zumba user Patrick Napier. Murphy shows Patrick the proper way to handle, maintain, and store your knives before we cut to some time later and Murphy is being transferred to a maximum security penitentiary. He shares a tender goodbye with his good friend George Sewell before being escorted via trained rifles to his bus stop. There he is greeted by Anne-Marie Cunningham, who stops Murphy to tell him that she plans to play a small but reoccurring role in his life for the next few hours, and she hopes that doesn't affect their professional relationship. During the bus ride, the prisoners are busy discussing their weekend, copying each other's homework, and spreading rumors about that Stacy. When the bus driver gets distracted by a little girl on the road. I'm kidding, there's no road. They plummet down a cliff in a bus made entirely of metal and glass with no safety measures and absolutely no way to protect themselves, so I think it's safe to wrap it up here. Or not, because Murphy wakes up in a fog sometime later before attempting to flee. He doesn't make it very far before being stopped by Anne on the other side of a tricky cliff. She orders Murphy to the ground while she attempts to cross all the way, bickering about the dangers of the situation. What dangers? Oh, those. Anne requests Murphy pull her up, and here we are presented with an option to save her. But oh wait, no matter what you choose, she plummets. Not to her death though, don't worry, she's just as resilient enough for it to piss you off. Murphy, surely not too bothered by that outcome, continues forward until bumping into my favorite character, Howard Blackwell. Howard is as polite and courteous as he is ominous and creepy. Murphy resists Howard's charm at first, refusing to shake before rolling over and begging, in which Howard gives Murphy a treat. In the form of a location. Howard points Murphy into an abandoned tourist attraction called the Devil's Pit and sending Murphy on his way. After some exploration, Murphy finds the Devil's Pit Stop Diner before lighting up a smoke in the hazardous kitchen. Holy that escalated quickly. A wild void appears. Yes, you heard me right. Don't expect much in the creativity department when it comes to symbolic representations in the form of inhuman monsters. A void appears and tempts Murphy with an early exit from the game. Murphy, being the hero we need and not the one we deserve, begins throwing men, women, and monsters into the void's path to slow it down and save himself. Truly, the man we all wish we could be. After Murphy reaches the pit, he meets J.P. Sater, a previous tour guide for the Devil's Pit, and after reading into his past, we discover that even operating a lever that goes back and forth under the influence can have disastrous outcomes. Later, we run into JP once more, attempting to get a better view of the pit as Murphy attempts to talk him down by telling him the accident was all his fault. Oh, he lost his footing. You know, they say if you wait long enough, you can hear him hit the bottom. Murphy decides to take a shot at Minecrafting before being interrupted by a bat monster playing peekaboo, and he loses consciousness before waking up back inside the mine. Anne is there to greet him, getting really liberal with that gun. I think that was probably the wrong choice of words. Before Murphy gives up, forcing Anne and the devs to create a moral dilemma just distracting enough that Murphy can escape. Free of Anne, Murphy returns to the surface to find a DJ Bobby Ricks receiving dedications for Murphy. Murphy runs into Howard once more, and after being vague and honestly creepy, although he's just too charming and warm, he points Murphy in the direction of the Centennial Building before disappearing into the fog. God, I love that guy. Before entering the building, Murphy is pursued by a flashback in which, during a conversation with Sewell, Murphy is pulled away by Officer Frank Coleridge, and we learn that Murphy was in prison for stealing a police vehicle and leading police on a 10-hour pursuit before eventually being arrested. Frank refers to Murphy as a good guy who doesn't belong here before recommending that Murphy stay away from Sewell and the prison meatloaf. We are returned from the vision, and not long after, but just long enough that I felt the need to skip it, Murphy finds DJ Bobby on air in the studio. Murphy confronts Bobby, but Bobby admits that something inside the town can hear them and that they have to speak quietly and fast before telling Murphy of a boat that they can use to escape. The keys are missing though, and Murphy offers to hotwire it before Bobby explains that won't work because there's something corrupting and influencing the behavior around the town before receiving a phone call from the entity. Wait, so if hotwiring won't work, what makes you think that the keys will be of any actual use? And if this entity has the power to influence the town, why is it using a landline to contact Bobby? A few moments later, Anne, oh for f***'s sake, crashes the party and completely kills the vibe. In a scene I couldn't possibly hope to screenshot, Bobby and Anne are grabbed and taken away, oh thank God, and Murphy is left alone once more. Murphy is once again pursued by the laziest written antagonist in gaming history, the Void, before taking a meth addict-riddled Disney death trap down to some flashbacks before being dropped from the clock tower. Ooh, so much symbolism. Murphy wakes on a bench being greeted by Howard once more, this time to deliver a letter to Murphy. Unfortunately, he wasn't accepted to Hogwarts. Theft, resisting arrest, and attempted murder won't get you very far. Murphy has been requested to visit St. Marie's Monastery, and Howard points Murphy into the right direction before disappearing for the last time. Surely missed. Murphy arrives at the monastery before being greeted by one of the nuns running the shithole. She informs Murphy that he was the only family they could locate, alluding to more questions than answers. Unless you're Murphy, he knows exactly what's going on. Murphy questions what the donations go to since most of the floor inside is missing and the place seems relatively abandoned. The nun tells Murphy to mind his own goddamn business before exiting to wait for Murphy in the morgue and leaving Murphy to find his own way around. Maybe if the nuns weren't spending donations on high-tech x-ray machines, they could afford to fix the floor and keep the lights on. I mean, look, they have to hire convicted felons just to keep the place running. Murphy meets a boy playing behind a locked door who sees him as the boogeyman, and only after Murphy recites a poem that drives away the boogeyman will the boy unlock the door for him. Murphy fails, and this triggers a flashback that gives very little exposition, so I guess I'll just do all the heavy lifting myself. Murphy was once a husband and father. He was very affectionate and loving to his boy Charlie. Unfortunately, and honestly I don't know how, their neighbor was convicted CP Patrick Napier. I'm really not sure how that's legal. One day, Patrick would catch Charlie walking home from school, and yeah, I'm not going to discuss what happened. Afterwards, Patrick placed Charlie inside of a canvas sack and dumped him in a nearby lake. Patrick was later caught and sentenced to life in prison without parole for a similar incident in which he was placed in a protective custody. This is by far the hardest subject to cover. Unable to properly mourn the loss of his child, Murphy decided to steal a police cruiser in hopes of getting sent to the same prison where he would make a deal with a shady corrections officer to get him time alone with Napier. Back to the present. Murphy reaches the nun before she reveals that the body is none other than the boogeyman before he rises and attacks Murphy. Murphy defends himself and overpowers the boogeyman before playing high striker with his head. We return to find Murphy removing the boogeyman's mask, only to find that his face is interchanging between Napier's and Murphy's. Murphy finally accepts that no matter what he does, it won't bring Charlie back, before the body dissipates and we are left with the boat keys. It's finally over. The prison sentence, the town, that stupid fucking Void. Son of a bitch. Anne appears once more, swinging her gun around and vaguely alluding to why and how that stick got so far up her ass. Murphy, like any of us would, gets sick of her nonsense and decides he's either leaving or he's getting shot trying, while Anne suggests the latter and Murphy is transported back to the prison. Here he must overcome many challenges before we are faced with our final boss. After blinding the monster and ripping out its life support, this seems more cruel than it does necessary, we are returned to the showers where we discover that the monster was really Frank. After Sewell helped Murphy get Patrick, Sewell requested an unnamed favor in return. During a prison riot, Murphy is instructed by Sewell to meet him in the showers he attacked Napier in previously. There he is met by Frank and it becomes painfully obvious that Murphy must kill Frank to conclude his and Sewell's deal. At this point, depending on your actions and choices you've made, you'll be greeted with one of 5 endings, 6 on your second playthrough. Check out Nitro Rad and Grand Gaming channel for a full breakdown and analysis. This series was so much fun to cover, and I'm excited to start working on the next installment very soon. Stay tuned, and once again, if you haven't followed me on one of my other social medias, links are either on my page, or if you're watching on YouTube, it'll be in the description. The more these videos get shared between friends and family and on forums and websites, the more it really helps out, and if you haven't watched my last video on TikTok, it's much needed and very appreciated, so thank you guys so much for watching. Remember, I do take requests, so if you have games you want me to cover or even a serial killer on my new series, let me know. Also, keep an eye out for my PT release, as I might just leave it as an Easter egg to find if I haven't already. And last but not least, if you are interested in trying the supplement that won't make you jittery or give you a harsh crash, try Dubby and use my code for 10% off. They might even pay me and we might be one step closer to knowing if it's bullshit or not. Alrighty, I hope I'll see you for Resident Evil. Until then, take care.